Well, good day, family. I am State Representative Carl Gilliard, the gentleman from the 162. And let me thank you for having the time with you today to update you on what's going on with legislation and the movement in the Georgia State Capitol. This is week 2. And as we have come into week 2, the first thing I want to say is that we paid homage to our former chairman of our Rules Committee, Chairman Jay Powell, who passed away in December. What a way to start the session off. We send condolences to his family and to prayers to our speaker and all of the leadership. It has been a tremendous week of paying homage. So the first thing I want to do is to say we pay homage to our former chairman, Jay Powell. Secondly, the number one issue this week that everyone has been painting has been something that we've been talking about for a while, which is youth gangs and violence around the state of Georgia. And we see that in the state of the state, our governor came out with some very focused, now I don't want to say promises because we say that a lot, but we want to say statements of what he wanted to do in this year's vision for the Georgia General Assembly. And gangs was one of the top priorities. What we have to do, I'll say, is open our ears and listen. Family, we have gone through a proliferation of sirens. We have seen the police lights. We have gone from ambulances to the hospitals, to the funerals, to the prisons. And I think we should all be tired. So one of the things I've learned in walking the line from left and right, not focusing on walking a line of Democrat, Republican, but just walking for the people, is just to listen of what makes sense. So this week, we're opening our ears to listen to the upcoming proposed legislation from our governor dealing with the state of gangs in Georgia. I reiterate again, 71,000 identified gang members. And right here in our city of Chatham County, 1,400 in our local community and 400 in our Chatham County jails. I propose a legislation that is dropping this week after just recently meeting with the leadership and our governor, that we're going to focus on a task force dealing with prevention and intervention, focusing on our youth. What can we do to turn this thing around to prevent our young people from getting involved with illegal activities, organized crime? What can we do to stop the babies from being recruited at a young age from our school systems into going into illegal crime? One thing we have to look at is that the level of a juvenile that commits a crime is going to get less time. The level of a juvenile that commits a felony is going to get less time. So that's the focus of recruiting them. And then we promote and reward them with finances, and we promote them with love. We have to be the village to give them the love that they need. So that's why locally, I am getting ready to call a stakeholders meeting to send the invitations out to not only our leadership in Savannah, but Pooler, but Richmond Hill, but Tybee, all the municipalities, Port Wentworth, Bloomingdale. I know that some of you may say, that's not affecting me. I don't have any problems. I haven't, had anyone to get killed in my family, or I don't have to worry about somebody being arrested. It affects all of us. And if you don't get involved, it's coming to a theater near you. So this legislation is a task force that consolidates the efforts of all of the preventive services that we have in our school system, our juvenile detention centers, as well as DFACs. On February the 25th, we will hold the Georgia statewide town hall meeting on youth gangs and violence, prevention and intervention. I repeat, prevention and intervention. We want to present a model of panelists from across the nation that will give us the ideas of programs that are working in our communities. Listen to this very closely. We have to do something. We are the ones that have to do something. And so we're going to call that stakeholders meeting in Savannah, Georgia, not to talk about it, but to be about it. Not to procrastinate, but to participate. And so we want to get everyone at the table to say, what can we do to partner with services? We don't want to point fingers. We want to turn to each other instead of on each other. So our focus is, as we get ready to have this legislation to actually drop on this upcoming week, we need you to call your state representatives and call your senators and ask them to give it a hearing. The other thing is, we need you to invite people to come out to your Georgia statewide town hall meeting. Come and be a part of the solution on February the 25th in room 341 at 1 p.m. Lastly, I say this again, open our ears, open our hearts, we open our prayers, we listen to what the governor has to propose. And if it's something that you feel that you could support, or if it's something you feel that you have an objection to, then say so. But the first thing I'm asking you to do is listen. I have not seen all of the verbiage. I do not know. I'm going to be reading and I'm going to be listening. Lastly, let me say this to you all. We have dropped several bills dealing with the minimum wage. One is the minimum wage. Two, ask Georgia to do what is necessary on paper to move from $5.15 to $7.25. I was talking to a legislator, and he said to me, he said, well, it's a good bill that you got, but, why we want to fix something that's not broken? And, we already observed the $7.25. So I have to say, in the words of Dr. King, whatever you're going to do, be true to what's on paper. And what needs to be on paper is the federal wages of $7.25. That's all we're saying. It's not going to hurt anything. This legislator said, well, it's going to cost the government another $2,000 just to fix it. Well, too many times we don't want to have the expenses of what helps the people. And we just want to fix it on paper. The other thing is, there are thousands and thousands of those that are disabled, and they deserve to be paid the minimum wage or paid the wage that they are qualified to actually get whatever they are deemed qualified. If they're CPA, pay them the wages. If they are an attorney, if they have skilled labor, pay them their wages. But don't do something that is just obscene and pay them $1.25 for folding envelopes. It is not right. It is not right. The minimum wage, if I wasn't in a wheelchair, if I were not disabled and I came to your company, then, pay me the minimum wage per hour. Just increase my workload if you want to. Those are some of the subject matters that we're talking about. Once again, we're going to keep you engaged. We're going to keep you involved. The other thing is, the Civil Rights Museum in Savannah, Georgia, the Ralph Mark Gilbert Civil Rights Museum, is our state civil rights museum. I've asked for a line item of $150,000 to go to the exhibits that have not been upgraded since the inception of the Ralph Mark Gilbert Civil Rights Museum. And it is Georgia Civil Rights Museum. It's just a drop in the bucket from where we need to go. $150,000. That's what we're asking from the state of Georgia. We're also looking at how can we implore the things that are going on in our community that needs to stay in the budget, such as the citizen advocacy program that George Sebro is currently walking in the leadership of, and Tom Kohler had helped so many people in mentor matchups and all the above. $250,000 to $60,000 has been cut out statewide, and $50,000 has been cut out. And I've asked the chairman of appropriations to put the money back in the budget. We've signed off as a complete coastal delegation and Chatham County delegation, and we are standing with the Citizens Advocacy Organization and agency that helps so many people proactively. Call your state representatives and call your senators and ask them to put the money back in the budget for the Citizen Advocacy Organizations. Statewide, they do so much, but our advocacy, the Citizens Advocacy does so much to help people proactively and not reactively. Lastly, we continue to pray for the state of Georgia. We continue to pray for the citizens and the leadership. And until next week under the Gold Dome, remember, when you move Savannah forward, you move Georgia forward. God bless.